Hi, I'm Miss Bailey, and I have been teaching music lessons to children for over 30 years. And I have decided to share all the tricks of the trade that have meant a lot to me that I think are important and necessary for the setting up of a studio. So let's just take a look. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I think that it's really important that you own your own printer, preferably colored printer, and a laminator and a paper cutter. And it doesn't have to be any of those expensive. In fact, you could probably get all those things for $300 or $400. And you're going to use the heck out of them. And so these are some things that I have created that I think are very pertinent to a piano studio, especially if you want to do a more hands-on approach. Now, I teach group piano, so I always make sure that every kid has one of each. But even if you're teaching one-on-one, and you want a more hands-on approach, you can use all of these ideas. So everybody needs their own keyboard for playing games or for finding different aspects of their scale and so forth. So everybody ought to have one of these, including the teacher and if you have an assistant. So I have 4 to a class, so 4 kids, and I have an assistant and then myself. So I have 6 of these. And then I have 2 different kinds of staffs. I have the staff that is just lines and only 5 lines and 4 spaces. And I use these mostly to introduce staff to the little ones. And sometimes we play little games with Cheerios or M&Ms, and I'll say, like, find line 2 and put a Cheerio on line 2. And so we play games like that. So everybody has one of those. And for the bigger kids that are learning their notes on the staff, then I have the grand staff. And all of these are laminated, and that's important because after you laminate them, you can use them as a wipey board. Black is the best, trust me on this, because if you use a different color, it'll kind of stain it. And it's hard to get off, but if you erase it fairly soon, it comes off immediately. If it dries on there and it's been a day or 2 or a week, you can always use a Clorox wipe and it'll come off with that. So everything that I laminate is good to go with a dry erase marker. So that's one of the reasons why you ought to laminate. Another reason why you ought to laminate is because I used to put everything on cardstock and thought, no, I don't really like plastic. I don't want to put it out there in the environment. And then COVID came along and everything needed to be disinfected. So there you go. Laminate, for sure. And you need a really good working set of flashcards. Now, for preschoolers, they are still learning their alphabet, their basic alphabet. So I have this set, again, printed and laminated. And then after they learn those, then they need to learn this set. So this is level 1 set of flashcards where they have to learn where the alphabet lands on the keyboard. So then I have level 2, and level 2 goes from middle C to treble C, and then level 3, and so on. And what I think is important is if you're teaching group, you want to give those kids something to do. Well, you know, the kids don't know the answers, but if they want to play a game with their colleague, they can cover up the answer and ask their little friend, do you know this note? And if they don't, then they can give them the answer. So I think it's important to have a set with the answer on there, and then a set that doesn't have the answer for other times. You're going to use different kinds for different occasions. So, and then we have the bass clef ones back here. So each one is a level. They have to learn the level, and then they move on to the next level, and so forth till they have learned the whole grand staff. So a decent set of flashcards. You'd be surprised how many games you can play with a decent set of flashcards. Any game board, you can put little characters, start here, roll the dice, answer 4 flashcard questions, and then go. So any game board, pretty much, you just ask them when it's their turn, what's this? And then another one, okay, roll and go. And so that's really basic, and you can get a lot of mileage on that. I actually made this with some stickers for these things here that I just think are adorable. Little monsters. Little monsters, so that when it's their turn to roll and go, they get to, answer the flashcard questions and then roll and go. If they land on a sticker of a monster, then they get to pop their monster, which is always lots of fun. So, and anytime you need a party, these little guys are handy, and they give you a 2-second party, which, who doesn't need a 2-second party, right? Music money. I think your studio needs music money. And you can have this kind, or you can go to Oriental Trading and get some of these cute little things. But better than giving away real money, right? Yeah. All right. So this game is called Bump It. And Bump It is one that the kids really like. And they get a color of... Here we go. I have some bears. Let's say one kid is yellow and another kid is green. And so they ask a flashcard question, and let's say the answer is F. So they put their bear on F. Well, if this kid takes their turn and they get an F also, then they get to bump this kid and keep that. And so they just keep going and going and until they finish a set of flashcards or run out of little characters. I usually have 10 each of whatever color. So 2 kids with 10 yellows or 1 kid with 10 yellows and 1 kid with 10 greens or whatever of the same. And then a set of flashcards, and off they go. They can entertain themselves for 6 or 8 minutes. And here's a game that I really like called Pony Race. And you can get it on Teachers Pay Teachers in my little store. And so the reason I like it is because some kids cry if they lose. But if they're not too involved, then they can bet on the pony. Let's say I have 4 kids around and little Susie wants to bet on this pony. So then it's her turn. She's going to roll and go, and she has 1, 2, 3, and it says draw a card, and she answers the questions on the card. And anyway, so the kids can choose which pony they want to go around, and nobody cries because they're not that invested. Whereas if it was their pony specifically that lost, then they'd be really sad. So it gives a little distance between the game piece and the kid to bet on whichever pony they want to win. And I like this game because when they land on play piano, then they have to play the thing that we've been working on for the day. Like maybe we've been working on Mary Had a Little Lamb. If they land on play piano, then they get up and go play Mary Had a Little Lamb for everybody. So it gives kids a chance to practice their flashcards and practice the solo that they've been working on. So there's that. Another thing that I think is these are cool. So these are little bitty marbles that I got at the dollar store, and I just cut out and glued and put a little finger polish on the bottom of these. And these are sharps and flats and natural signs and stuff like that. And these are the music alphabet. So, you know, you could work on your scale that way. And it's enough for 4 kids to go around and work a scale. So they're just little marbles that you get in the home decorating section. And I just printed off some symbols, cut them out and glued them on there. And there's just tons of them, and they're super cheap, and they feel good to handle, and we use them all the time. So there's that. You can also put them on those little keyboards that you laminated, or I laminated. Hopefully you'll go home and laminate some. So, and last but not least, the iPad. I do like the iPad. It has a couple of things on it that I use a lot. One of them is Flash Note Derby, and you can pick which notes you want your student to work on. Like maybe they're learning middle C, D, and E, and then so that's how that works. And they like it a lot. Another thing that I use the iPad for a lot is this thing will not stop. Another thing I use the iPad for a lot is the Decide Now app. And so you can create your own wheel, and maybe you want to practice the music alphabet. So I have the A, B, C, D, E, F, G on there, and then so you can just hit it and it picks a random thing. It hits F, so everybody has to find F on the piano or whatever. So that's one way of playing it. If they're older, then they have to find F on the staff. So it's good all the way around. I really like it. Here's another thing that I laminate, and this is what I call a to-do list. So in group piano, we do a lot together. We do ensemble work. We learn new things together. We do our warm-ups together. We spend a lot of piano time together. But then there is that 5 or 10 minutes that is under the headphones, and I need to make sure that they're not just playing around under the headphones. So I give them an assignment. Let's say for warm-ups, they need to do a D scale. And for a number 1, they need to practice their old piece. And number 2, the new thing. and whatever extra. So, and I'll tell them, depending on their age level, how many stars I expect to see colored in. So if they practice the D scale 5 times, then they color in 5 stars. If they practice their old piece, however many times, they color it in. And kids are really, they're determined to get that to-do list done, and they feel proud of themselves when they do. And that way, if I don't get around to everybody, I know that they're working instead of playing around. So I really, really love it. It has really worked well for me, and I recommend it. It's just warm-ups, number 1, number 2, and extra, and a bunch of stars. And it's because it's laminated, I can erase it and fill it out for the next student. Ready to go. So those are a few of my favorite things. I hope you enjoyed that little tour of my toys. And if you like this video, I hope that you will like it and subscribe, and we'll see you later. Good luck with all your endeavors. Thanks.